A diplomatic confrontation is rapidly escalating, from the streets of Iran to the halls of the United Nations. Tehran is now demanding international action after what it calls reckless and unlawful threats from the U.S. president. Iran's United Nations ambassador, Amir Saeed Iravani, has formally written to the UN Secretary General and the Security Council, urging them to condemn Donald Trump's statements, warnings issued amid nationwide protests shaking Iran. The letter was sent just hours after Trump declared the United States was locked and loaded and ready to go if more protesters were killed. Iran calls those words a serious violation of the UN Charter and a direct threat to its sovereignty. Any attempt to incite or legitimize internal unrest, the letter warns, as a pretext for external pressure or military intervention is a gross violation of international law. Tehran is making its position clear. Iran says it reserves its right to defend itself and warns it will respond in a decisive and proportionate manner to any escalation. And the stakes are already high. Protests continue across the country, from Qom and Mashhad to Hamadan and Tehran's neighborhoods. The unrest erupted after shopkeepers in the capital went on strike over soaring prices and economic stagnation on December 28, 2025. So far, at least 9 people have been killed and 44 arrested. Officials say another man died after a grenade exploded in his hand, an incident authorities describe as an attempt to inflame the unrest further. In a notable shift, Iran's leadership has struck a softer tone. President Masoud Pezeshkian admits the government is at fault and promises solutions, a marked contrast to the hardline responses of past crackdowns.
We are absolutely unwilling to allow our guilds to encounter any difficulties, and even for those I've heard are currently incarcerated, for instance, due to some of their past errors, I firmly believe that you must go and engage in a conversation with them. We will certainly resolve their problems, that is, if they possess a valid point and we are indeed at fault. We are trying to make corrections ourselves. We are not going to exert any pressure on them, God forbid, to infringe upon their rights. If it becomes necessary, I will personally sit down and speak.
We are engaged in a full-scale war. Right now, the enemy has placed most of its hopes on knocking us down through economic pressure. You cannot conquer a nation with bombs, fighter jets, or missiles. To defeat us, they would have to come and face us on the ground. And if they were to confront this nation on the ground, if we remain determined, united, and committed to working together to make our country proud, it would be impossible for them to bring Iran to its knees.
But history looms large. Just months ago, the United States bombed 3 Iranian nuclear sites during a 12-day escalation involving Israel. Trump called it a very successful attack. And last week, standing beside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump warned the U.S. would knock the hell out of Iran if it advanced its nuclear or ballistic weapons programs.
Israel with other people might not exist right now, if you want to know the truth. That's a pretty big statement, but it's true. I feel that. You had the wrong prime minister. Israel right now would not exist because they were met with a force the likes of which very few countries could have handled. And we worked together and we were extremely victorious, to put it mildly. Now I hear that Iran is trying to build up again, and if they are, we're going to have to knock them down. We'll knock them down. We'll knock the hell out of them, but hopefully that's not happening. I heard Iran wants to make a deal. If they want to make a deal, that's much smarter. You know, they could have made a deal the last time before we went through, a big attack on them, and they decided not to make the deal. They wish they made that deal. So I think, again, they should make a deal. They want to make a deal, but sometimes that doesn't happen. Yeah, please.
As protests rage, threats escalate, and diplomacy strains, the question now facing the world is clear. Is this a warning or the opening chapter of another major Middle East crisis? The Middle East is back on a knife edge after Trump threatened Iran with military action. Iran has now retaliated, saying its military is on standby against potential invasion or air attack. This as economic protests in Iran surge against the Khamenei regime and cause more casualties. Iran has been rocked by protests over the ailing economy and rising cost of living. But now the United States, Iran's biggest enemy, has signaled potential intervention. Trump issued a stark warning in a post on Truth Social, saying that if Iran shoots and violently kills peaceful protesters, the United States would step in. He ended the post with a chilling line: "America is locked and loaded and ready to go." In response, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi warned Trump against meddling in Iran's internal matters and threatened military retaliation against U.S. interests. Araghchi also slammed Trump's remarks as reckless and dangerous and stressed that Iran's armed forces are fully prepared to defend the country's sovereignty. Referring to Trump's domestic record, Araghchi said the U.S. president should understand that violence against public property cannot be tolerated anywhere. He further added that Iran's military stands ready to respond to any violation of its sovereignty. The U.S. and Iran are no strangers to confrontation. Ever since the 1979 Islamic Revolution overthrew the U.S.-backed Shah, Washington and Tehran have been locked in a bitter Cold War. To punish Tehran, the U.S. has since then imposed several economic and military sanctions on Iran to cripple the Shiite nation. Iran's nuclear program is also at the center of its tensions with the U.S. Washington accused Iran of developing a nuclear weapon, but Iran said it was only for civil purposes to meet domestic needs. And in 2025, that Cold War turned red hot. In June, the U.S. joined Israel in its war against Iran and sent B-2 bombers to blow up Iran's nuclear sites after Tehran penetrated Israeli air defense systems to target critical installations in Tel Aviv during the 12-day war. Meanwhile, Iran is now facing one of its biggest internal crises in years. Tehran has been on the edge since December 27, 2025. It all began after shopkeepers went on strike over high prices and economic stagnation. The protest has now spread to other parts of the country. Al Jazeera reported that what began as a single protest about the collapse of the Iranian economy has spread to 17 of Iran's 31 provinces by New Year's Eve. Thousands of people have mobilized across the country, with security forces responding forcefully in some places. Nearly 10 people have been killed so far in clashes with security forces, and about 50 have been arrested, as per Al Jazeera. Several videos showed protesters chanting, "Until the mullah is shrouded, this homeland will not be free," and "Mullahs must leave Iran," an apparent term used for Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Due to a range of international restrictions, Tehran is struggling to access international financial markets and frozen foreign assets. The country's increasing reliance on imports is exacerbating the situation and fueling inflation. Last week, the Iranian rial dropped to 1.42 million against the US dollar, a 56% drop in value in just 6 months. The plummeting currency has driven inflation, with food prices soaring by an average of 72% compared with last year. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian appealed for unity and blamed economic pressure on what he said are Tehran's enemies. However, despite government promises to enact economic reforms and put more effort into tackling corruption, the protests have continued. And now, Trump's warlike warning has added fuel to a raging fire. One misstep could ignite the entire region and possibly shake the world.